Welcome to Bruce Hurwitz Presents Meet the Experts. I'm your host, Bruce Hurwitz of Hurwitz Strategic Staffing. You can find us on the web at hsstaffing.com. I hope you'll consider us for all your staffing, career counseling, and professional writing needs. I am delighted to be joined today by Keith Lee. We're going to be discussing the connection between customer service and client acquisition and retention. Meet the Experts is sponsored by P&K CPAs. P&K is a full-service accounting firm. They provide accounting and consulting services to businesses ranging from startups to small and mid-cap companies to nonprofits as well as high-net-worth individuals. Contact them today for a free consultation at info@pk-cpas.com or call them at 973-882-8810. They will be happy to be of service. Keith, welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you on as a guest. Would you take a minute or two and introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
Yeah, well, we'll go all the way back to 1981 when I started managing a business owned by another guy. I ended up owning it a number of years later, but that's where I got my business start. I am married. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary next year.
Congratulations.
2 wonderful kids, 2 wonderful grandkids.
And they said it wouldn't last.
They said it wouldn't last. High school sweethearts from sophomore
year. They really said it wouldn't last.
Sophomore year until now. So yeah, no, it's been a very, very good ride. So I had that business. I grew it from $300,000 a year in sales to 15 million in sales. It was actually an incredibly downward spiraling industry. I sold supplies and fixtures to independent retail stores and regional retail chains. So let me ask you, how many independent bookstores do you see today? How many independent hardware stores, independent drug stores, independent toy stores, independent menswear stores, whatever the case may be? But in that time, again, we grew it significantly, went from 1,000 square feet of warehouse to 4 distribution centers across the Western United States, probably a total of somewhere in the neighborhood of 160,000 square feet. Sold that business in 2015, and now I call myself mostly retired. I still love talking customer service, so I do. And that's about the only thing I spend my time on anymore, other than being retired. So it's been, it's been very good for us. I decided in 1981 when I started managing the business. Back then, you're not a spring chicken yourself there, Bruce, but so you probably remember In Search of Excellence and Tom Peters and Robert Waterman. That was big back then. It's probably on your desk. Yeah. That was huge back then. They actually had a documentary on public TV. I recorded that and showed it to every single new team member when they came on board for the entire history of our company. Now, I recorded just the customer service parts, the parts with Stu Leonard's Dairy and Disney. There's a number of people businesses in that book that did not do well over time. They did. And so I'm glad I copied those. I just thought that my business back then, that we were going to make sure that we differentiated ourselves. I knew we needed to do something. Okay, what are we going to do to differentiate ourselves? We're selling stuff. Back then, there were 10 of us in the Washington State area, distributors selling this stuff. Now, by the time I sold the business, there were only 1 left. That was me. Okay, but what was I going to do to differentiate myself? We're all selling the same stuff. was customer service. And that's what I relied on. And that's so, you know, that's how I became, quote, a customer service expert. One of the things I did early on, by the time I sold that business, I was in year 23 of doing monthly free newsletters, physical newsletters to our customers. We were up to 20,000 of those newsletters at one time, a month that I sent out. What am I going to talk about? I talked a lot about customer service. And I told them that the reason I'm giving you this information is so that you can be better at what you do, which means you're going to need more of what I sell. And not only that, but I will put something, I was just right up front with them. I will put something in here. So I'm going to try to actually break even on printing the newsletter with some things I put in here too. But a ton of it was about customer service. And I decided that was going to be what I really focused on for my company and for talking to my customers. And then all of a sudden, and so after a while, and then when email started, I started sharing weekly tips on customer service with them. They liked it so much that I started doing it bi-weekly, twice a week tips on customer service. At the bottom of it was a little, you know, special of the week also. But it became so popular that I had people saying, so do you have some place where I can get all this information in one place, Keith? I love this stuff. And well, no, but I'll start putting that together. So I started putting it together, and before you know it, I had a book. Out Nordstrom's creating the world's best customer service. So that's a little introduction to me as a whole, and a little introduction as to how I ended up loving customer service and talking about it now for 42 years.
I wasn't quite prepared
for that.
No, not at all. I wasn't quite prepared with what I wanted to ask as my first question. Because I didn't want to ask what customer service is. Everybody knows what customer service is. Everybody knows what good customer service is. But I thought of something last night, and I'm going to use it.
Okay.
I received a phone call years ago. I don't remember the person's name. I don't remember the name of the company. I remember they were in Manhattan. I don't remember where. Called me up. Actually, this was when I was on the board of the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce. He came over to me and he said that he was having problems hiring people.
Right.
He knew that I was a recruiter. He said, I can't get anybody to work for me. And if I get somebody to work for me, they leave. Can you come over and talk to me? I said, sure. So I go over and I knock on the door, and somebody says, come in, and I open the door. And not too close, but in front of the door, maybe 3 feet, is a desk. And seated behind it is a young man wearing black eyeshadow, black lipstick, black nail polish.
When was this?
It had to be about 20 years ago.
Oh, geez. Okay.
That's not the. I haven't gotten to the good.
Sorry to interrupt.
This is one. Wait until the end.
Yeah.
Tattoos all over, and my personal favorite, the face piercings.
Oh no.
Forget about the ear.
Yeah.
It makes me sick even thinking about it. Is the tongue.
Yeah.
Very polite. Very polite. Thank you. Would you like something to drink? I'll tell the boss you're here. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. Then I go into the boss's office. And on the walls, he has his trophies. Not what you think. He was a big game hunter. and he had the heads of the animals that he had killed. Beside each one was a framed certificate, for lack of a better word, letter, saying that it was a legal kill. He hadn't broken any laws. When I left that office, I didn't know if I wanted a penicillin shot or a tetanus shot. I explained to him as politely as I could that this will turn off everybody. No one's going to see this. I said, that's a lioness. Okay, you had permission, but you don't kill a female. Could have cubs. This is a huge turnoff. This is not something that someone would want to be a part of. A few months later, I noticed he was no longer a member of the Chamber of Commerce, not because I had offended him, but because he was out of business. And I'm thinking that that is also part of customer service that's ignored. That you want your business to be inviting. It's not just the salesperson who wasn't properly trained and doesn't ask, is this a good time to talk to you, but starts talking. Talk to us about elements of customer service that aren't apparent to business owners.
Okay. The first one that comes to mind for me is people come to work for you or with you. I hate for you as a term, by the way. People come to work with you and you tell them when it comes to customer service to treat people like you want to be treated. If you're hiring a young person, especially, they've never received great customer service. They've never been anywhere where they've gotten great customer service. They do not know how to do it because they've never even received it. Now, they can give okay customer service, maybe, but they can't give great customer service. And it's not just young people either. It's just about anyone anymore, because the level of customer service out there is so horrible. Most people think just a smile with no eyes, a smile, this thing, is fine. They think, thank you is fine. But no, you got to smile. You need to look at them. You need to have eye contact. You have to have your entire face in it. And you need to talk to them like you genuinely want to work with them and serve them. Okay. It's not just a smile. It's not just a hi. It's not just a smile and an acknowledgement. It's a smile, eye contact, and your entire face. When you're done, eye contact again when you're done. If you're a clerk at a store, eye contact again, smile, thank you so much. That's one of the huge ones, is just do not don't tell people to treat people like they want to be treated and assume it's okay. Okay. The other thing is that, businesses out there will do that, and they'll think, well, I've taught them about customer service. Well, how do you, and so I'll talk to a business owner, and the business owner will say, and I'll say, so what differentiates you from all of the competition? What do 80% of them say? Customer service. We have great customer service. And then I say, so, oh my gosh, that's fabulous. So what do you do to ensure that you have great customer service? Well, we tell people to treat everybody that they have contact with like they want to be treated. Oh, that's super. Tell me, what specific things do you train them to do in order to do that? Well, we tell them to treat people nice. And then, well, tell me about some of the things that you actually do to get that done. And you go down this path and there's nothing. There's literally nothing. That's why in both of my books, we have 59 things that a business can do to ensure they have great customer service. And then what needs to happen is it needs to be reinforced. It can't just be said once, or, what we used to do as a business too. We did it before I became manager, but we did it. We'd be, oh, our customer service is lacking. We need to have a meeting on customer service. Customer service improves for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it goes back to the same old thing. So I don't know. You probably know of a guy named Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar was asked by a news reporter. He was in town. And he said, "So this customer service, this is great. So they're going to come to you, and they're going to know, or not customer service, motivation. They're going to be motivated to go out there and be the best that they ever can after coming and reading and seeing you. Is that right, Zig?" And Zig says, "No, no, no, no. Customer service is just like bathing. You need to do it, or customer service. I go back to that, but customer service is the same as that. Okay. Motivation is not permanent. It's no more permanent than bathing is, which is why you should bathe every day. And you should have some customer service follow-up every day also. And that's one of the things that I talk about too, is that you can't just go out there. You can't have a meeting once in a while and expect people to give great customer service, which is why for the people that follow me, we have weekly messages from me that then get forwarded to their team about what customer service is.
Before I learned the famous shoe store story, I was asked to go into a store because the owner didn't know why his sales were lacking, or basically stagnant. And I walked into the store, and I don't think at the time I used a cane. Today I use a cane. When I walked into the store, I walked around and looked at a few things and left. No one said boo to me.
Yeah.
I went 5 yards up the street to his nearest competitor. "Hello, sir, welcome. How can I help you? Are you looking for anything specific?" "No, browse. If you need anything, just holler." They were doing fine.
Yeah.
Now, the shoe story, which just want to make sure everybody knows it, man goes in, nobody helps him. He finds the one pair of shoes he needs because his shoes broke. The sole came off, whatever. He goes over to the counter, purchases the new shoes, wears them out. The boss goes over and tells his staff that they did a lousy job. "What do you mean? We made one sale." "Yeah, you made the one sale, but you didn't make any of the future sales because he's not coming back here because you didn't serve him."
Right. Right.
Now, you were writing, so what do you want to say?
Well, I was just one thing that I was writing down here is that one of the things that I'll do every once in a while, just because I'm a customer service guy, is I'll go in and I'll say, "Okay, I'm going to do my little test here. I'm going to go into this restaurant, fast food restaurant. I'm going to go into this retail store. I'm going to buy something that's just a transaction. It's not, I don't need somebody to show me something. It's just a transaction. I'm going to go in there and not say a word and see what happens."
Mm-hmm.
Try that. Because about more often than not, when you go into some place, if they don't say anything to start with, you'll say something. You'll say, "Hi, da, 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 da," whatever. And you will just not be believed if you do that little test, how often you walk in and walk out, and that person that's supposed to serve you doesn't look at you, doesn't say a word, and you're gone. we can't do that. We have to show sincere appreciation for every single person who walks in that door.
One of the questions that I ask my candidates, and one of the questions that I prepare my career counseling clients for, is the question, what do you do? Meaning, what does the company do?
Yep.
And I use Michael Dell as the example. He didn't say he has a computer company. He said he has a customer service company.
Yeah.
You purchase the computer over the phone.
Right. So in my book, The 59 Secrets, one of them is, what business are you in? Go back and talk about and figure out what business you are in. Mm-hmm. And I talk about that. I thought originally that we were in the business of selling handheld price marking guns to people and bags to people and then fixtures to people, then point of sale computer systems to people. And that was the business we were in. No, we were in the business of making people happy. That's what we do. We make people happy. And that came from Disney. Because Disney.
You have to be careful, though, because I'm reminded of a networking event I was at. And I was with a gentleman who had been in sales since World War II. He said literally he got a job the day after he was discharged from the Army. So he's been, in sales 60, 70 years.
Right. And
we were talking, and this young man came over and he interrupted us. So he didn't know how to get into a conversation. And for 90 seconds, he told us about his business. And when he was finished, and he was a tall guy. When he was finished, my friend looked at him and said, "Oh, you're in credit card processing." He never said credit card processing. It was like he was ashamed of his industry. All right.
Well, nobody in credit card processing is going to tell you that. That's what they're in.
But if he had said, I'm in credit card processing, and the reason that I'm proud to be in the industry is because blah, 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 would have been a totally different thing.
Absolutely.
So you have to know, part of customer service is presentation.
Yeah.
And as you know, public speaking is the number one fear most people have.
Right.
The old joke, you'd rather be in the box than delivering the eulogy. How do you get people who are almost chronically or phobically shy to be able to open up to strangers and to help them?
That's where it's where the training comes in. And where you really, you need to train them, number one. First thing, number one, that we talk about in the book also is hire nice people. Hire nice.
But there's a problem with that, because and any recruiter who tells you it hasn't happened to them either hasn't been in the business long enough or is a liar.
Well, it's one of the things.
There are people who are great interviewers.
Oh, yeah.
And they're fired within no time at all because they can interview, they can't deliver.
Couldn't agree with you more on that one. I used a whole process for hiring, and we used somebody like you. We had a real process for hiring them. The reality is the only two bad hires I made after I started working with these people were people they told me don't hire. And I hired them anyhow because they were good interviewers. And I learned later, okay. But to start with, hire nice people. But then it really comes down to the training. And it comes down to a consistent training. And then if they're not that person that comes about it naturally, you work with them more. You have them work with mentors that are in the same type of job. That can help them with that more, and you move them from the person that doesn't want to even make eye contact Well, you got to make eye contact. You got to smile. And if you're not going to smile and make eye contact, well, you're going to have to work night stock. Whatever the case may be. I mean, you got to work with them. You got to get them there. And again, some people you just can't work with. They're in the wrong job. Move them on. Move them somewhere else. In some cases, well, we never did this with really good people. I mean, we never did this with really poor people, but we did it with some of our good people that, we determined that, hey, they determined that this isn't the right spot for them. So we helped them go find another spot. Gave them, literally helped them go find another spot in another business.
Yeah, I remember once, the first time it happened, shocked me. I was talking to the owner of the business. He said, I've got an employee who would be perfect for you.
Absolutely.
Hang on, I'll call him over. And I said to him, aren't you worried that your boss is trying to lose you and get rid of you? And he goes, no. He does this all the time. It gives him a lot of pleasure.
Yeah.
Moving people up, and then it helps expands his network. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it. And I got to tell you right there, in Hawaii, they call that chicken skin. We call it goosebumps. It's one of the best things. It's one of the things that I love most about business. And that wasn't moving people on, okay, but it was people who came to me years later and said, gosh, Keith, thank you for believing in me. And most of them stayed in the business and they got promoted. And one of them, I met his father like 5 years, and he's still with the business that I sold. I hired him in 1981. He's still there today after I sold it. I met his father at a function like 5 years after I hired him, moved him from a kid that wouldn't even look at you or hardly talk to you or anything to our very best salesperson in the business. And that was because I believed in him. And I believed in the process of training. And so his dad said, you saw something in that kid I sure didn't see. And his dad was a very successful attorney.
Well, there is one issue that we have to touch on. We have about 5 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Up until now, we've basically been talking about customer service that's face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
But today,
Zoom. Yep.
Today it's the phone.
Yep.
So on the phone, you can do something. There are things you do. You ask, is it now a good time to speak with you? And then you have a polite conversation. I was taught that you should have a mirror in front of you to smile, because if you smile, it's in the book, okay?
Mirror in front of you.
Mirror in front of you. If you smile, they will hear it in the tone of your voice. What else do you got about phone customer service? And what can you tell us about Zoom? Because I, for example, have a great deal of trouble looking at the camera. I always look at the person on the screen. I know it's wrong, but that's why I keep it back a bit, because then you can't see my eyes.
Okay, so one of the things, I've done pretty good at this today, but not great, because I should have actually moved you up a bit on my screen where my camera is up here. But I did have you over here. I had a different view. I had you over here to start with. And I was talking to you over here, which I'm not talking to you there then, if I'm talking to you over there. So I moved you over here so that I'm talking to you here. Yeah. And then you have to also make sure and tune out everything that's around you, behind you, etc., and focus. It's even more important to focus on the individual. One of the things that I frankly had to teach myself to do, because I wasn't a natural at this. I have ADD, so I'm all thinking here and there and everywhere else all the time. Is I had to teach myself to make sure and focus on the individual and what they're saying. Now, which is why you caught me writing down something here. When I focus on you, that's going to be gone 100% if I don't make a little note on it. Okay.
Oh, I have to do the same thing because I'm, as you mentioned, I'm no longer a spring chicken.
Yeah.
Get it?
But so that's number one, is that you need to make sure and put your entire focus on them. You need to, if you have a little tool where you can like move their picture so they're not up in this corner over here, they're here. Now what I would love is, just like you, I would love to have that camera right in the middle there. So instead of up there, but I did about as good as I could today.
I have you sort of to the left of the
Mhm,
camera,
mhm.
and I don't like the post-it note, look here. It just, I think it's silly, but that
Yeah,
works for some people.
yeah. I don't. I wouldn't work. That wouldn't work.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
like,
mean,
I compare it to when they say, if you're nervous speaking to an audience, picture them all naked.
yeah. Good. Good.
Stupid. I mean,
No,
no, no.
no. Yeah. What I typically do is I find, to start with, and I don't have this problem anymore. I mean, I just don't. I love speaking in front of people now.
Yeah.
But when I first started, I would pick out that person that looked like he was really relating to me,
Yeah.
and talk to that person specifically, and then expand from there. Can I mention one thing before we leave about
Please.
customer service? Because I think it's just absolutely critical.
Well, since we're almost out of time, this is perfect.
Mhm.
Because my last question, and I'm gonna put up your contact information as I'm
Okay.
asking the question. Question is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I had asked you? And if I
Good.
had asked you, what would you have said?
Okay. The question is, Keith, how do you find how to deliver great customer service? How do you find that? And one of the things that a ton of people do is they look within their industry, and they look and they see the best practices within their industry, and they try to emulate them. Fine, that's great. You know, don't go down. I mean, don't go from here to worse customer service. Do at least that. But if you do that, we call it in marketing, we call them marketing incest. You're not any better than anybody else. You're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. You're not any better. So to find how to truly differentiate yourself, look outside of your own industry, and determine what did I, and have your entire team do this. Tell me where you get great customer service, and talk about it and discuss it. Here's an example. This was long before Amazon ever existed. So we're going way, so today this doesn't sound huge, but it gave us a market edge for close to a decade. And what I did is I called Cabela's outdoor stuff, sporting goods, outdoor stuff, Cabela's, and I placed an order for fly fishing equipment that I wanted. And they said, that'll ship today. Well, back then, nothing shipped today. I'd never heard that from anyone that I ordered from. In our industry, you would get an order and it shipped 3 to 4 days, 2 days if you're lucky. So what I did is I said, we need to do that. And we figured out a way to get that done so that we shipped the same day on single thing that was in stock. The only things we didn't is custom orders, et cetera, et cetera. We wowed the industry for almost a decade before our competitors caught up. It's one of the reasons I bought out 11 competitors over the years, because we knew how to wow them. We had, back then when we did that, we only had the Seattle distribution center. We added Dallas, Denver, and Honolulu after that, but we only had Seattle then. And I got a note, and this is a whole different story, how to get testimonials, but got a note from one of our customers down in the Denver area, and she said, when I order my stuff from you in Seattle and get it faster than I do when I order it from Denver. And so, but that was from, the point here is not 1-day shipping. The point here is look outside of your industry for things that wow you, and then implement that in your business whatever way you can.
You're 100% correct. Long story short, I was in the nonprofit field for many, many years, over a decade. And someone asked me, what do I read to get my ideas about fundraising?
Right.
And I said, books on sales, history, science, philosophy, psychology. And they said that has nothing whatsoever to do with fundraising. I said, yep, you're right, because my competition is reading the books on fundraising. So I don't read them.
Yeah.
Keith, I want to thank
we're on the same page.
I want to thank you immensely for your time. This was very informative, very enjoyable, and it's a great way to end this week of interviews. So I thank you on behalf of all of our viewers.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'm Bruce Hurwitz. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay focused on success.